Hey, that's on.
You rolling?
All right.
George Michael did.
Well,
You have to have faith, man. I have faith.
what's on the agenda for today? Sleep.
Breathe. Lots of new people breathe.
Yeah.
I thought we were having a celebration.
Hmm?
He double didn't get voted in.
Yay! Trump! He got Trump.
Instead, we got the heat double.
And the Trump is out.
Yeah, I was watching that last night. That's one reason I was late. I didn't expect that, really.
Yeah. Neither did the liberal media.
Well.
Liberal media. It is.
Yeah, I mean, there's some retards rioting this morning, I heard.
Well, that was my first question to John Wallace, but he said he hadn't heard anything yet about any riots. There were some of that?
Immediately.
Mm-hmm. But the programming is strong in folks. And I was thinking about, does anybody remember, when was Reagan elected?
80 and 84.
84.
84?
Yeah.
Because in 84 I was 22.
80 and
80
Yeah.
and 84, okay.
Yeah, 80 was his first, and 84 was his second.
Because I was thinking that I was the age of my sons, basically, when Reagan came in. And this driving over here, I was thinking about how people fondly look back to Reagan as though he was whatever. I think he had the House and the Senate, and just it's the same scenario, basically. And we got more in debt and more in, while he was waving the flags, and everybody was all excited about defeating the devil worshiping liberals or whatever. The game continued. Okay.
Good cop, bad cop.
And
Oh, with that.
as I was thinking, because I still don't know about Trump, we'll have to see what his deal is, and but the temptation will be, okay, we won, now go back to sleep. Just like when you go to church and you decide you're going to get clean. Because the American people are addicted to politics like other folks are addicted to crack. You can't let somebody else exercise your executive branch. You need to be your own president, your own executive. Not surrender power over to the state and then go back to sleep. Does that make any sense, what I'm saying? Okay. America is still it's better than gulags, I guess, and Zimbabwe in a lot of ways. But there's a lot about Zimbabwe I miss. It's a beautiful place. Because when in God we trust, folks believe that, but I don't think it's necessarily the same God we're talking about. I think that God has one eye. Okay? So, Hillary was giving her little speech while I was riding over here. I don't know. The game continues though, y'all. We're back to 1984. 1980 when Reagan took over. So. What did we talk about last week? Was that a downer for y'all?
Lucky you.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's just a game.
I didn't have any control
An
over it.
upper for me.
The what?
It was an upper for me.
Oh, I preferred what he said. I will have to watch what he does. But I was just reminded on my way over here that my boys, I was my boys' age, didn't pay attention to politics, I wasn't paying attention to nothing. For, 30 years later, I wake up and go, this is crazy. And America is not our God. Jesus is not an American. Right, Josh?
I think David Bowie said that.
What did he say? Jesus is not an American?
No, he said God is an American.
What did we talk about last week? Hebrews. Oh, the addiction for external power, or surrendering our authority over. We went through the book of Hebrews a little bit, and the sensory, the addiction to the sensory kinds of religions. Because functionally, politics is religion. It's the same stuff. Gets you excited. We hate the devil. We hate, our person's the God, and Jesus wants Trump to win, and right. The same thing. Or a football game, or kill Auburn, kill Alabama, kill Tennessee. Tony Stewart. He's our God. He's 5'2". Pick him up by his ankle and haul him around like that. But because a lot of that's, they call it marketing. They call it's sorcery. It's mind control. If we're not aware that it's going on, Because I watch more television and the news stuff in the last week than I had in the last 2 years, probably. And I felt the emotional pull this way and that way, and But I felt like maybe it's how some of y'all watch Alabama play or something. But I was watching all the numbers come in, and it felt just like that. What I remember about a football game that I cared about. So.
Well, we didn't get to watch it. Was it closest thing in?
No, basically all the news people were going, this ain't really happening, is it?
Yeah, they're all liberal.
Did they have a meltdown? In terms?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not that I saw
They
anyway.
did at 2:30 in the morning. I was up.
You were? I don't have cable. I was watching it on YouTube, so I don't know. I probably missed some of it. But,
Yeah.
on my little phone with my head watching.
That's where your headphones are?
Yeah, well, they're in the truck. I was also thinking of how y'all probably know in some ways more about this process than others, because it's basically an addictive process and a surrendering of our power to something outside of us, and how we can have momentary flashes of clarity and decisions, when you're tempted to go relapse and you don't. Because there's a sense in which the two sides were about dependency and feeling good, and at least what they said, and personal responsibility, and because Trump didn't say anything radical at all. He's basically saying you have a right to shut your door, and strangers on the street don't have a right to come in and get your shit. I mean, it's just duh. You know. In the economic game, if you give away all your shit, then you're going to be poor economically. So make sensible deals. I mean, it wasn't, whatever. And I was also amazed at how, listening to people that were very much on different sides basically hate each other. And their reactivity to, you like Trump, you hate women. Or you like Hillary, you're a Satan worshiper. I mean, it was just crazy. And there was not a whole lot of rational thought going into it, or what is the reality of it. But the American public was real ginned up. I was afraid they was going to try to do martial law. That's where my head went, you know. But the game continues. So, what's your name?
Jamie.
Jamie, where are you from?
Mississippi.
What part?
Central. Rankin.
Rankin.
Leatherwood, just outside of Jackson.
On the west side?
Next to
East side?
Central Jackson. Jackson, the capital, just outside, near the reservoir.
Oh, like north of Jackson?
No, just east of Jackson.
East of Jackson.
Yeah, Rankin, Brandon area. Brandon.
Oh, by the prison?
Sir?
By the prison?
Yeah, I was there the night before I came here.
See?
Rankin County Detention Center. Well, actually, yeah. Somewhat, yeah.
Well, how'd you get hooked up with these people?
These people? A friend of mine I was in rehab with was here. He lives over there in the hills.
In Chilton County?
Say again?
In what hills?
Over there.
Is that, you talking about a house?
Yes, in a
Oh,
house.
okay.
We were roommates in rehab a couple of years ago. And he thought this would be good for me.
Cool. You church person?
I was when I was young.
What flavor?
Southern Baptist, but I was married in an Episcopal church. My children go to Episcopal church every Sunday.
Okay.
I don't agree with Episcopal church, but it's church.
I mean, I got papers from the Baptist cemetery. I don't agree with them. I'm a professional Baptist.
I like the old hymns and the Hell and Brimstone, personally. I told Robbie the world was going to end in 3 years, but now that Trump's as president, it's not.
Unless he does better than Reagan, we're just going to get more into the shit.
Sorry.
Because Trump is not our savior.
No, he's not.
He are not. I don't know what to talk about today. It feels like a pause before a storm, kind of, or a calm before a storm.
We talk about Revelations, that'll be fine with me.
What about it? What part? My favorite part of Revelations is where Jesus starts drinking wine again and gets some.
That'd be great. Scare somebody. Scare them straight.
They're already scared. That's why you're on dope. Well, I ain't got to scare nobody.
I got scared when I was in Rankin County Detention Center. I was only there for about 18 hours, but they took us on a little tour and left us there. And
Yeah.
the guys in black and whites, that's not where you want to be. Definitely. Definitely not.
What kind of dope was you doing?
I was an alcoholic.
Is that all?
Oh, well, when I'm in my younger days, I did a lot. I got away with it.
Well, what was you in jail?
Shooting a firearm in a subdivision outside of city limits.
Why'd you shoot a gun in a subdivision outside the city limits?
I was cleaning my block and I decided, hell, why not?
Okay. And why'd you decide that?
I was drunk.
Why was you drunk?
I was drinking a lot, excessively.
Why? Why?
Because I relapsed.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Because I didn't follow my steps.
Why?
Because I'm an idiot.
Why?
Probably why I'm here.
Why's that?
Because I don't have this here.
Probably the best answer is I don't fucking know.
There you go.
Okay.
That's, yes, you're right.
I know. And it's the not knowing part. That's the only reason to be here, is to begin to know. Otherwise, you're just 90 days, another 90 days. You know? And you get a little fatter and healthier so you can go out and binge again, you know? Yeah. And then cry to your mama or your wife or your kids, you know? Same old shit. Yeah. And then you come for another vacation. Because it doesn't matter what you believe, really. You can fight with the Episcopals or the Baptists or the Democrats or the Republicans or the whatever. Because belief won't let us know the truth, or, by definition, belief is not knowing. He said, we will know the truth. And then the truth will set us free. Right? The truth is that your identity is not that which is connected to a social security number in your criminal record or your financial record or the linear progressions of events. Your inward judicial branch and executive branch and legislative branch. The rules that you have connected to your identity. The judgments you put on yourself. And the ones that decides what you're going to do. the beginning of wisdom and actual knowledge is profoundly understanding that I don't know. And how many days and weeks and months have you in your mind or in your conversations with people resisted the idea that you don't know? There's a friend here, he had 14 answers to, what?
To one question.
Yeah, and none of them were the answer. You know what I'm saying? How we play that game in our head? And we do that because we're anxious. We do that because we're unaware of who we are. We exist in our head. They come into the, not even the, I don't even know what a good word is, but to rest in the idea that I don't know. And that even the words that I use to try to, in the end, they don't mean a whole lot compared to the reality of who you are. When you relapse, baby, did you have a fuck it moment?
No, I had to move the yard moment.
You had to mow the yard. What's that mean?
I thought I could handle it. I had a fuck it moment.
Sorry?
I had a fuck it moment.
Son, I mean, it's not, I'm not trying to catch you on something. Everybody in, everybody in here has that before they relapse.
It wasn't necessarily a fuck it moment. It was more so I can handle two. I can handle this. I got this. I made excuses in my head, and then it just.
Then you don't know.
It was shit.
Because you could handle two.
No, I could handle the other. I went back for two more.
No, I'm just saying you could and go. There's an alternative universe where you had 2 beers and then went to eat supper and played with the kids and went to bed. But the executive branch somehow was impeached or something. I don't know. But there's a mystery, an I don't know part that went from, because even the Baptist Bible has Paul saying all things are permissible. God ain't mad at you for drinking a beer. There's nothing wrong with drinking a beer. That's not the issue. Beer's just, God invented beer. Made yeast and grains, and if you put them together in some water, they turn into beer. Right? God invented, what's that stuff, baby Josh? It's stuff that grows. Oh, God invented mushrooms. Nothing wrong with mushrooms. Right? You know. Focus on the substance, I think, is a dead end. It's not the substance, it's that I don't know stuff. What is it that I'm needing? What is my soul needing? That's why we relapse. We're needing something. And what we need is righteous. If we would have been raised as German Baptist in Munich, beer would not even be an issue. They'd be going, don't waste that beer, you 10-year-old little boy. You clean your plate and drink your beer. I mean, that's just culture. We don't have a German God that's okay with drinking beer and an American God that says it's wrong. That's just culture. You know? There's a scripture that talks about what the Holy Spirit will do and interpret groanings too deep for words. Y'all ever heard that? In that place that I'm hinting about in terms of I don't know, that's the place, there is a place that is too deep for words in us. Where our true identity rests, I believe. And we can't know that place with our mind. We can't know it with our senses. And me and Josh was talking last week. What was that stuff you took and you saw the mandala and all the patterns and stuff? DMT. And that substance, I guess, it doesn't change reality, it changes your perception of it, right?
Yeah.
You know, because if you're on it or you're not on it, that web of relationships is still here. You know, and that experience is still sensory. Just like if we sit on the porch, that's sensory. What I've been talking about for the last 3 or 4 months, I think critiques a lot of the Christianity as it's taught, because this idea that we need to be still to know God. Our religion is the opposite of being still. Many, many times. Do you understand what I mean by that? If I think the right things, memorize enough things, don't touch myself in my special time, don't drink beer, don't do this, don't do that, don't say shit, or whatever the particular culture that you're in, whether it's Episcopal or Baptist or Pentecostal. That somehow magically everything's going to be all right. And that's magic. The reality is that it's already all right. You are already fearfully and wonderfully made. God did not drop you on your head and go, oh shit, fucked him up. There is now no condemnation in Christ Jesus. I think I read that somewhere. the condemnation that occurs happens when we believe that we are our false self. And then the president and the judicial branch and the rule makers begin to function in us. You ever judged yourself? You are not yours to judge. Now your false self, your ego-based self, that's something that you created as you interacted in this sensory world. It's the law kills, right? Didn't Paul write that in Romans? And that we can't keep the law. Can we? I mean, the whole world system is based on paper. And there's so many damn rules now. I mean, it's crazy. I don't exist on paper and you don't exist on paper. Do you? And you can't fix something that ain't real. Does anybody have a thought about what I'm talking about? What, baby?
So, how do you discover that uniqueness? How do you, I mean, is there any story that hasn't been told?
Yours? Mine? His? Tennessee's? In our striving to be a good boy or to be successful or to be whatever, all that's associated with the game world. I mean, all these systems that we have set up, I mean, it's monopoly. It's no different. You know, instead of a dog or a battleship or a top hat, you're a teal or you're a Josh or you're whatever. And instead of little plastic greenhouses, we have these. You know, and we take real things, the stuff in the material world, and we put it together and attach some kind of value to it. And then play the game.
Roll the dice.
Roll the dice. Go round and around and around to the left. Sometimes we go to court. And they hit the ball back and forth, and then the judge and the referees calls it.
Then how do you step outside of those patterns?
Know that I sound like the Matrix.
Rangers was pretty close.
Well, you know when the little dude was bending the spoon?
Yeah.
And what was his answer? You remember?
There is no spoon.
Yep. Our attachment to our ego, or whatever, it's just a word. We're addicted to it. The last week or so, as I've engaged all this stuff that I hadn't been around in a while, I kept having to remind myself, because I was like, kept having to remind myself that this is a game too. Because to say there's a way to do it or not, that the way itself is an illusion. I'm already where I'm going. The old man sitting behind the and as I wake and sleep and eat and do those things that interact with my wife, my children, y'all, it's fun. Flesh is fun. Thinking is fun. You know. But it's all grounded on something too deep for words. There is a reality. Even the geometric pattern is just, that's not it either. That was a Technicolor flash in your head, you know, or however it was. I never really know what I'm going to do next. That's part of the fun. That's probably the reason I come here every week, because it's fun to me. Because I can't save your sorry ass. I don't have the secret code word that, you know, or I can't save my sorry ass. For all of us are sorry asses and have fallen short of the glory of God. Right? You know? And it's funny how, you know, I'll make all these plans and I'll be thinking and doing this what I'm going to do, and then I don't do it. Or I do something that I go, what? Unexpected. And I fake myself out that I'm making all these plans. Right? And then something totally unexpected happens. I mean, I didn't even know who I was going to vote for till I did it. I mean, I was thinking I could write Jesus in there or something. You know, I didn't. You know, and then I just went and I did the Trump thing. In Alabama, it didn't matter anyway, really. I think we get faked out by this idea that we need to be something else. And if I need to be something other than what God has already made, then there's a problem. And that's a false self. God didn't make my idea of me. I did that with my ego. Because in the end, even unto death, when my body breathes its last and my eyes closed, I still am. That what I am is not my body, is not my ego, is not my sensory experience. Because who you are is not an addict. Maybe who your false self is an addict, if you want to use that word. But we're all addicts, addicted to the ego and the flesh. And striving to be or not to be. As I understand scriptures and my experience with all that, I already are. That's when Jesus said, I am. Not I'm going to be. Right? And nothing that Caesar could say could change his I amness. Jesus is like, well, that's what you said. That's what your mama said. You know, whatever.
But he still had to step through fulfilling who he was.
Yeah.
So that's probably the real search, is figuring out how you fulfill what you were.
I guess. But how does an acorn become an oak tree?
Right.
It's not going, oh shit, grow you little bitch. That's the creator that does that. The maker of the acorn. You know, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with a better metaphor somewhere. But I think in our striving, in our anxiety, be anxious for nothing, he says. We do what we naturally do.
Do you find that the longer you, I guess, consciously try to live outside of your ego, you know, your true self, do you find the longer you do that, does that ever become your default, or is your ego always your default?
Well, okay, let me say, I don't say ego is a bad thing.
Right.
Okay. If I need to know where to stick the food, which hole to stick it in. And I'm no guru. I don't know what I'm about to tell you. Okay? I'm making it up as I go.
Right. You get what I'm saying though? I mean,
Yeah.
do you feel it ever becomes easier, or is your flesh always the default, and it's always
I think
daily battle?
I think when we're anxious, our flesh becomes the default.
Right. Regardless of how much you again in the past experience.
If we're living in our anxiety, whether it's to be a good Jesus guy or not,
Right.
I think that's false. Or whatever. Or you know. And my thought about it is that when we're not in our anxiety, or at least less in our anxiety. We just do. We respond. We play jazz. It's like playing jazz with people. You can't predict what you're going to do on the keys, or you're going to do on the drums, or you're going to, you respond to
Just
what
react, right?
yeah, resonant something. Because the more you think about stuff, the less elegant we are in doing it many times. Or natural, or whatever word would be best, I don't know. But I don't think it's either or. It's, for some reason, the Creator put us in this material plane to play, I guess. To grow, to make acorns, fruit. And there doesn't have to be a reason for it. If you love to swim, and y'all like to swim,
Love it.
you don't swim to go, I gotta get to the other side of that fucking place. You don't swim for a reason except that it's fun. It's because it's the experience of the water, being in the water and being buoyant or whatever makes that fun. It's its own reason. All right? Our false self, though, has all these rules and expectations and good and bad and black and white and red and blue and Republican, Democrat, ass and pachyderm and vert and perpetrator and victim and terror and all this Hegelian stuff. And these puzzles to solve and these evils to overcome and good to be, and even after all this election, it's not like, oh, the bad guys are going away now. And who are the bad guys? The game just resets. Yes, sir.
What do you do with the tension of what brings you peace, what brings you joy, what allows you to have that moment of true breath where you finally exhale, and the culture of the world around you pushing you into something else? Because for me, I get fucked up. That's what I do with the tension. I try to escape it. How do you find that acceptance?
All I can say to that, for me, is I have to remind myself that there is no spoon. That even the tension is an illusion. And it's playing in my sensory world. I've been doing this probably at least once a minute for the last week. And then I'll find myself because I'm still dealing with all these problems with these people and this sexual abuse and just grief and fear and they have this expectation that I'm going to fix them somehow, and they're yanking them and give me the magic formula. And And the only thing that I've been able to do for folks, and the only thing that seems to have some effectiveness, is to help them to go. If only for a fraction of a second. Or to laugh unexpectedly. It's when you're laughing from here, you're not in your head. You know? Or even when you're feeling real grief. It's kind of like a reboot of all this junk going on in your body. Has anybody ever wept and then felt good after? You know, it's a sensory reboot. Just laughter is a sensory reboot. And God, because I feel so, I know how ignorant I am of all this process. You know? But every once in a while there's a hint, there's a reminder, but it's not in my head, it's just that's the cleft of the rock which God hides us in. Nothing can take us out of the Creator's hand. You know, all is well already. As if I die, all is well. If I live, all is well. If I have conflict, all is well. Already. You know, I was engaging some folks. They didn't like Trump or Hillary or this because they hurt somebody's feelings. Okay, whatever. Because if somebody says a word that hurts your feelings, that says more about you than it does about the one that said the word. Right? It's just noise. And this is it. Just think about the first time you heard me talk or whatever, and depending on what day it was, or how you came at me, right? Worked up all these expectations in your head, right? And then when you encounter me, it's probably different. And all that energy. Or who went home this week? Oh, boy, was the blonde-headed fellow who was here last week. And you with your divorce stuff, that's still going. You know. Because that's just a paper reality anyway. But we have all these all this energy invested in these scenarios we play out in our head. And it's already all right. It is. If you go out and you go relapse tomorrow, it's already all right. That's just a game. It may delay the seed breaking open and you reaching for the sky. You know. And there will be shit that happens coming behind it. You know. Popo or family issues or whatever. But even if you're in jail, it's already all right. If they crucify you, it's already all right. The thing is, I think, to remember it, you can't scare a dead man. No. Whatever happened in the Garden of Gethsemane, that's when Jesus died to the ego, to the flesh. And I'm guessing that wasn't a great night, but it was already all right. You know, dealing with stress to the point, I guess I heard preachers talk about it, that he was so stressed out, capillaries burst under his skin and blood came out through his pores. I mean, that's a medical condition, they say, that can happen under stress or whatever. Is it time to eat?
Good there.
As I think, guys, we relapse on whatever our addiction is. Mine is my head. You know, I used to think it was a woman. But even when I had an affair, it wasn't about the woman. It was about me. My insecurities and my fears. And she showed me her titties and I felt a god. Or whatever. It wasn't about her. Y'all know what I'm talking about? It was about me thinking I was this insecure little boy thing and believing that and wanting to fix that and become a man. But even then, everything was already all right. It affected my children, it affected my wife. But they too are already all right. Because nothing can take them out of the Creator's hand. Hurt feelings are not hell. You know. So, if we can remember sometimes that we forgot to go to the still place, because that's how it works. You don't become a Buddha with a robe and walk around, you know, or a good monk or whatever you want to call it. What we do is we, every once in a while, remember that we forgot and go, there is no spoon. And then we go play with the spoon some, because that little boy was just playing with it. It's fun. It's fun. And then we'll get into the game so much that we forget that it's a game. And then we'll have to, oh shit, I forgot. There is no spoon. You know? And play this game here with the people that bother you. They're the most fun. But not, because see, in our anxiety, we want to fix them, or we want to change them, or we want to make them quit being whatever. That's the exact opposite way to look at it. So when that stuff happens, it creates energy in you that you can begin to know yourself. Why does this boy bother me? What in me is getting hooked? What, you know, if you feel like Tim gave somebody an extra jelly bean, we let him use the the phone. You didn't let me use the phone. You got 2 jelly beans and I only got 1. Y'all know what I'm saying? It's whether you get to use the phone or not, or whatever, it's already all right. And generally, the more chill you are, the more you get what it is you want. Generally. Because I think we get exactly what we want. But in that we don't know ourselves, we don't really. It says that God delights in giving you the desires of your heart. Gets off on it. It's fun. But there's no way to figure it out here. You sleepy, baby? What was you shaking your head for?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I fly around like
Oh.
this, I was trying to get it off.
No, I thought I'd been profound or something.
No. There's a couple of them here.
Has anybody got any questions?
No, sir.
You know? Go eat.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank y'all.